Okay, stop right here. This is the exact position is where I watched 90% of intermediate dragon player lose the game before they even realize it's happening. Black is about to play most natural looking move on a board and it's a disaster. One pawn push, that's it. And in about 4 moves, white is either material up or crushing the straight to the king side. I'm going to show you exactly why this move lose, and more importantly, I'm going to show you the one move order which white play the ruin black's entire setup before even black thinks. Stick with me till the end because I have got stays for you. If you get right, you're already playing the opening better than most 1400 rated player. Let's do it. Before I show you a single deep line, I want you to understand why this opening looks the way it does. Because if you just memorize the moves without understanding the plan, you will freeze the second your opponent deviates. The Dragon Yugoslav Attack is a race. Both sides castle on opposite side and white goes on a queen side, black goes on a king side. And from that moment, it's not really chess game anymore in a classical sense. It's two players sprinting toward each other's king. White wants chaos and speed. Push h4, h5 and try to check the king as soon as possible. Sometimes it sacrifices the piece on a h7, g6 or d5 to open up the h file and make the black king before the black try to attack. Black wants counterplay just as fast. Push b4, a5, sacrifice on c3 if needed and try to get the white king in a first. So here's your first big mental shift. In this opening, safe moves are often losing moves. Slow moves let your opponent win the race. Every move has to ask one simple question. Does this speed up my attack or slow down theirs? I'll show you exactly where that race gets decided. e4, c5, knight f3, d6, d4, c takes d4, knight takes d4 and knight f6. This is a crucial move for a dragon player. If you don't play the knight f6 and suppose you play the knight c6, white can play the Merozi bind. And it's more positional chess, it's not at opposite side of castle. So black must play the knight f6 over here and do not play with the knight c6. So knight f6, knight c3 defending the pawn and g6. This pawn structure s7, g6, f7, e7 and d6 is you can identify as a dragon. And blacks usually play the fianchetto bishop on a g7 which is very valuable over here. Bishop e3, bishop g7 and pawn m3. This little pawn move is a signal that we are in a Yugoslav attack, specifically f3 pawn move, supporting the e4 pawns and clips black's knight out of the g4. This is the important part to prepare the queen d2 on long castle for a white. White telling you right now, I'm going to queen side and I'm coming for your king. Black castle 0-0, queen d2, knight c6 and long castle 0-0-0. And there is it. Kings on opposite side. The race has officially begun. Now, here your first pause and solve. If you are black right now, what's the single most important pawn break you need to prepare before you touch anything on a king side? Pause the video for a 5 seconds and go. The answer is a b5, not a d5. b5 needs to open the lines toward the white's kings, and b5 followed by b4 kicking the knight on c3 is the fastest way to do it. This is the black's version of white h4 h5 push. So correct continuation look like bishop d7, h4, rook c8, bishop b3, knight d5, h4 and knight c4. Notice what's happening over here. White pushing the pawn, blacks throwing the piece and pawn at a c3 and b2. Nobody playing is a solid chess. Both sides playing for an attack. Now remember the trap I promised you at the start. Let's go back to the critical moment. This is where the most club player goes wrong. Instead of correct plan, here's what a lot intermediate black player do. It looks completely natural. It even looks thematic because you have been told to push your pawn and create chaos. Ninth move, pawn d5. This looks like blacks opening the center to strike at a white before white's attack gets going on. It feels proactive. It feels like exactly what I have told you to. create chaos fast. But here's the problem. Watch closely. Knight capture c6. You have to capture the knight back with a pure pawn. B takes c6 and pawn e5. Now stop and look what's going on here. Why didn't even bother to capture d5? Now it's attacking the black's knight on f6 and the black's knight has a no moves and there is no good square. Knight d7 and pawn f4. Here's the part almost nobody sees coming. Look at the black's bishop on a g7. That's whole soul of the dragon. The bishop is supposed to be a monster, raking all the way down to the b2. Now it's completely totally dead. White's own pawn on e5 sit on the diagonal like a roadblock, and the black knight on d7 is now blocking a bishop from the other direction. Black lost the entire point of laying the dragon. In the first place, white gets massive space advantage, free hand to attack on the king's side, and black's best piece become useless, tearing its own pawn, doing nothing. This is a real trap of premature pawn push on d5 plate before the black's rook piece actually coordinate to fall off, and you handed over your opponent exact position where he is dreaming of. No sacrifice needed, no force material win to win catch, just that bishop and free attack. Quick test, black's knight on f6 is attacked and has to move out of like knight d7, knight e8 or knight g4. Which retreat caused black least long-term damage and why? Pause for a 5 seconds and think. Here the answer, knight d7, best of the 3 bad options, because at least it don't die, okay, and it don't create any problems. If knight goes to the g4, the f3 pawn will get the knight. If knight goes to e8, okay, what's the future after it? He cannot go to the d6, he cannot go to the g7, it cannot go to the c7, okay, so basically it cannot go anywhere. So at least from the d7 it can go to the c5 or maybe e6, something like, or e4 from the c5. So it has some future, but black has to work a lot for this idea. Remember this rule in a Yugoslav attack, central break only works after queenside piece are activated. Rook c8, knight e5, knight c4, ideally queen e5, not before. If you push d5 while your rook still on a f8, your bishop still on a underdeveloped, you are not creating chaos, you are handling white's free hands to attack. Now the theory is great, but let's be honest, we are not playing the Magnus, we are playing another like 1000 to 1500 rated human who is just trying to survive. So let's talk about what actually happened in a real game. After position pawn f3, castle, white plays the queen d2, you play the knight c6, now bishop c4. A lot of opponents at this level, ninth move white play bishop c4, instead of immediate long castle, completely reasonable, still following the plan, just different move order. If you know your idea instead of memorizing moves, this change nothing for you. You continue with the bishop d7, rook c8, eyeing on a queenside expansion. But here's the genuine common mistakes that I see constantly from the white. After castling queenside, a lot player get impatient and push h4, h5 the way too fast before their kings is actually safe. Sometime even before the king d1 has been played. If white forget to play the king b1, this is your chance to play the strike immediate with the b5, b4, hitting the knight on a c3, because now every single one of the black attack comes with the checks or discover attacks. Discover attacks on a c1 king. White own attacks become things that gets them mated simply because they skip at the safety moves. And on this flip side, if you are a black, your opponent instead of sharp with long castle, play sometime passive like the castling on a king side instead of queen side. Don't panic, don't try to force the chaos, just play the normal healthy, the b6, bishop b7, rook c8 and squeeze them positionally. The whole race concept only apply that when both kings are on opposite side, and same side castling means it's a completely different, much normal game and safer game. Alright, let's lock what you have remembered from this one. Rule 1. The Yugoslav attack is a race between opposite side. Every move should either speed up your own attack or slow down enemies. Rule number 2. Never push your central pawn or thematic pawn break d5 for a h5 for a white until your piece actually coordinate to back it up. Premature break don't create chaos. They hand over your opponent's dream position, space, free attack. In a black case, that dragon bishop that never gets do that job, never gets see the daylight. If you really want to drill these, play through the every line I showed you today. Plus, I didn't have time to cover in this video. I put together all annotated PG file with all the feet, explained move by move, so you can load it straight into your board and practice against the exact mistakes we are talking about. Link in the description.